relative performance, reversals, and what is going to resume next week. That's what's on my mind. We're still bullish. Let's talk about where we're most bullish. This is the quarter to date relative outperformance as we're ending the week. I'm going to refresh this just to make sure we've got the most recent market data. And there we go. So quarter to date, semiconductors, communication, healthcare, financials, tech, industrials, energy has made a big move, but be a little careful there, and staples. Now, I like staples, even though they're at the bottom of the list, they've stayed above the relative performance zero line since the end of January. Notice that energy has had a hard time staying up above it. It just moved up this week. So let's put energy on the back burner, but we'll definitely keep an eye on it. So when you're looking for your list of stocks to trade to the long side, they should be names that are weighted heavily within these sectors. And by the way, my futures traders out there, how does this apply to you? As long as SMH and XLC are leading the charge, I am looking for dips to buy in the NQ, and then we can also look at the QQQ as the ETF alternative. As long as XLF and XLV, as long as these two are moving higher, then that means the S&P or the SPY or the SPX or the XSP, whatever version of S&P you like, is definitely valid for dip buys, meaning buying into support, because these are strong trends supported by heavily weighted sectors moving higher. By the way, how did today fare? Let's take a look at the normalized performance today. Everything had a tough day, right? I say everything. Those names had a pretty tough day. Look at what's down near the bottom. XLC, XLI, SMH, that's just one day. And I will say, I will mostly chalk that up to OpEx. OpEx is usually its own little world. It's a today situation. It's an open interest, gravitational pull kind of day. Really interesting, though, that XLP and XLV were able to hold on to, well, some pretty decent support. Well, that brings up a question. Rag, what within then XLP and XLV look good? Cast your net into relative outperformers. Let's focus on then, as we go into next week, XLP calls, Costco calls, Walmart calls. Those are the best looking ones right now. Costco, XLP itself, Walmart. Let's keep an eye on those. So the list is actually a lot shorter than it was maybe a week ago, but if we focus on the relative performers, the follow through is most likely there. All right, what about healthcare, XLV? XLV is moving higher. So if there's sufficient open interest, 500 open interest or greater, let's focus on XLV itself, Lilly, Merck, AbbVie, Abbott, Danaher. Now, when we wander into those 5 green stocks, green trend, make sure the strikes are trading with at least 500 open interest. All right, so we definitely want to keep an eye on that. Now, by the way, this layout is something that I make available in the Sector Secrets Mastery. And if you didn't know already, I'm sure you're going to get some emails. We're having a trial right now. It ends on Monday, meaning you got to sign up by Monday. It's starting, okay? This is what we're going to use to scan the broader averages. Now, XLK is a really important sector. It's heavily weighted in the NASDAQ. It's number 1. It's heavily weighted in the S&P. It's number 1. And it's number 2 in the Dow. What is leading the charge higher? Where is the strength coming from? Apple? Hardly. Adobe? Negative, Ghost Rider. Cisco? Intel? Oracle? No. Take a look at where we want to focus on the long side. If trade this, not that is a conversation we have a lot, then trade this, not that is trade Microsoft, not Apple, right? Trade NVIDIA, trade AMD, right? SMH, as I showed you before, is in fuego. That's one of the reasons the NASDAQ is holding as well as it has been, right? Salesforce, right? But I don't want to be trading stocks that aren't trending. If I have a group of stocks that are able to consistently make higher highs, why not focus on the follow through that's there? Now, I will say, I know it's only Friday the 16th, but remember, NVIDIA is still one of the major stocks out there that has not reported earnings, that has the ability to definitely rock the NASDAQ and SMH. as well as XLK. And when a heavily weighted stock has earnings, all of these stocks are going to feel the reverberations, right? It's like an earthquake. It doesn't happen to one building, it happens to all of them. So let's be aware of that. The cleaner, the easier price action is leading into earnings. We did a video on this, I think on Tuesday. I'm trying to remember when I did the NVIDIA earnings breakdown. So I like the action into earnings in SMH, into NVIDIA earnings, but then I want to be flat. Any semiconductor names going into NVIDIA's earnings. I'm not going to make, kind of a coin flip trade on which way it goes. By the way, if you watch that video, you know that NVIDIA whisper numbers are pretty lofty, okay? But if it does sell off, which I kind of hope it does on earnings, think about all the opportunities we could see in all these green names, as well as the NASDAQ itself. So it's not all bad news, right? We need a sale. We want a blue light special. And the difference between relative outperformance and picking a bottom is what I just showed you on those scans. The difference between a retracement and a reversal is, are we still above those key levels, like the daily price movement ranges, these gray zones? That's huge. And then lastly, what we want to remember as we go into next week is options expiration is its own little world and the trends are still intact. So the follow through next week based on, well, let's do this. What could rock next week aside from the earnings? I'm going to show you here real quick and we'll wrap up this video. So I'm going to take a look at what's coming up next week. Home Depot, so that's actually going to be a potentially interesting opportunity. Home Depot, Lowe's, ITB, right? Walmart, that's our XLP. There's NVIDIA on Wednesday, another ITB name in BLDR. There's Lowe's on the 27th. CRM, another uptrending stock. So we'll see what happens in the aftermath. Costco, one of the relative outperformers in XLP, right? Okay, so that's the way the earnings could impact those high concentration weighted sectors. And then what about data? Do we have a bunch of Fed speakers again next week? I sure hope not. But come Monday, well, we have a bank holiday. So come Tuesday, any U.S. hot zones? Nothing major. CB leading index may be reacted to because there's not much else, right? Then we have the FOMC meeting minutes. This is going to be the mover next week, gang. FOMC meeting minutes. These are the notes on the most recent meeting. This is going to give us some insight into just how dovish they may be. We're going to want clarification on the fact that the Federal Reserve is willing to cut rates in May or June. If that is not part of the conversation in those minutes, look out. So if you're looking for volatility to take advantage of, Wednesday could be that day. All right, and I'll cover this and a lot more in Top Tier Outlook, which, by the way, my mastery trial, folks, you will have access to that. It'll get posted on probably Monday or Tuesday. Well, Tuesday, because the markets are closed on Monday. But that's what we're looking at. This is not the time to get pessimistic. This is not the time to get bearish. This is actually a really good, bullish, structured market. And I say that because overall, when I look at my trades for the last 2 months, whether that be January or whether that be currently in February, the overall movement has been in my account to buy calls. I don't think I bought a single put in 2024. The account growth is coming from waiting for these volatility events when you hear the world is going to end and buying calls. All right. So I hope that helps. That's what I'm focused on. That's what I have been focused on. That's where the account growth is coming from. All right, gang. That's a wrap. Enjoy your long weekend. I'll see you at the Top Tier Outlook show at the Simpler Trading YouTube channel at 6 p.m. on Sunday. And I will be doing a Charts and Coffee on Monday. Really important, gang, if you're going to join me in the mastery, do so before Monday because we close the trial. I do trials once a year because we really make it an immersion. It's the only way to do it. All right? Have an awesome weekend. Thank you as always for being a part of the Simpler community. I'll talk with you soon. Hey traders, Raghee from Simpler Trading. Thank you so much for watching this video. Be sure to leave a like and a comment below. And remember, subscribe and click the bell icon so you'll get notified of the next update. And when you're ready to join me for live trading, be sure to head on over to simplertrading.com. I'll see you in the next update.